It's almost!
He's done it again! Unbelievable!
Oh, straight into the roof of the net. Nice one. Straight down the middle. So a good performance.
Hi, you're watching Firstpost. I'm Rupha Ramani. Let's get the show started. On the show today, Wiaan Mulder declares the South Africa innings with him just moments away from a record milestone. The internet, of course, exploded and former cricketers went into shock. Why did Mulder do that? We get you his exclusive chat with Ian Bishop post the day's play, but more importantly, was it a just call? Novak Djokovic breaks the Roger Federer curse at Wimbledon, but can he actually go past the big one? Get a title here, finally, to end the drought. There is something he's doing different. Stay on to know more on that. And the Indian football team is in contention for a spot in the FIFA World Cup. Nope, it's not the men's side. How have the women outdone the Blue Tigers despite the systemic failures surrounding them as well? But first, the headlines on Sports 360. Starting with cricket, England pacer Jofra Archer is all but set to return to the England squad for the third test against India at Lord's. England head coach Brendan McCullum said the pacer is looking fit and will be in contention for a spot in the 11. The pacer hasn't played a test since 2021. He was part of England's Champions Trophy squad that got knocked out in the group stages earlier this year. India's under-19 squad won the ODI series against England 3-2. The side went through but failed to end the series on a high as they lost the inconsequential fifth game by 7 wickets. IPL sensation Vaibhav Suryavanshi was the star as he amassed 355 runs at a strike rate of 174, which included 100 of 52 deliveries. In the bowling department, 18-year-old Kanishk Chauhan picked up 8 wickets. The Marylebone Cricket Club, cricket's lawmakers have called the Akashdeep delivery that dismissed Joe Root at Edgbaston legal. After Root was bowled by the Indian pacer, a debate started brewing over the legality of the delivery itself. Upon replays, it looked like Deep's foot landed just outside the safety crease. But an MCC spokesperson has confirmed that there is no evidence to say it was a no ball. Moving to tennis, men's world number 1 Jannik Sinner escaped a near upset in round 16. The Italian entered the quarterfinals despite losing 2 sets to Grigor Dimitrov, who was at level 2-all in the third before he was forced to retire due to an injury. Meanwhile, over in the women's draw, Iga Swiatek also made it to the quarterfinals after a straight sets win over Clara Tosson. The poll hasn't gone beyond this stage in this tournament so far. And summing it up with football, Spain has entered the quarterfinals of the Women's Euros after a thumping 6-2 win over Belgium in the group stages. Alexia Putellas scored a brace as the world champions made it 2 wins in as many matches. They will now face Italy before the knockouts. Spain hasn't won the Women's Euros in their history. Now, what's the main tenet of sport, any sport? To win, isn't it? That's what you are taught from the time you start learning to play the game. Do all you can to get your side or your country across the line. In fact, winning is more than what the score sheets tell you. It's a habit that even goes on to become a part of the culture. What are we talking about and why are we talking about winning and team culture here? It's because of what 27-year-old stand-in captain of South Africa, Wiaan Mulder, did yesterday. You're a captain and you're on the cusp of what is clearly a landmark moment in Test cricket. You've amassed 367 runs and have earned every single run in that mammoth individual score. The record for highest individual score in men's cricket in Tests is held by West Indian great Brian Lara, an unbeaten 400 against England back in 2004. A record that has clearly stood the test of time. What would you do? Wiaan Mulder, batting on 367, declared the Proteas innings. Let me set this one up for you first. South Africa men's cricket team is currently playing a series against Zimbabwe. It's by no means a high-octane clash. It's pretty heavily stacked in South Africa's favour, despite a second-string squad there, a country that created history recently by winning its first ICC title in 27 years. The visitors, South Africa here, have in fact won the first test and they look like they're in charge and in control of the second too. South Africa in this second test batted first. Now, Zimbabwe did rattle the top order, 24 for 2 at one point were the Proteas, with Mulder at the crease. The young batter stood his ground for around 7 hours, played 334 deliveries, struck 49 fours and 4 brilliant sixes, a strike rate that was close to 110. He dominated and at 367 was good to go ahead and do the unthinkable, what many have only attempted to but have not come even close to achieving: cross Lara's magical 400. And he declares the innings. Remember, it was still day 2, and going by the way he was scoring, 30 more runs wouldn't have taken too long. What did happen is that South Africa's young side, many seniors were of course sitting out of this series as I mentioned earlier, went on to dismiss Zimbabwe for 170 and forced the follow-on. So why then not try and tempt fate when the biggest record was there for the taking? Here's what the captain said.
Well, first things first, I thought we got enough and we need a bowl. And secondly, Brian Lara is a legend, let's be real. He got 401 or whatever it was against England, and for someone of that stature to keep that record is pretty special. I think if I get the chance again, I'd probably do the same thing. I know speaking to Shooks, he kind of said to me as well, like, listen, let the legends keep the really big scores, and you know, you never know what's my fate or whatever you want to call it, what's destined for me, but I think Brian Lara keeping that record is exactly the way it should be.
He, of course, refers to a conversation that he's had with his coach, Shuk Conrad, is whom he refers to. But it's astounding, really, especially coming from someone that young, someone who hasn't really withered the whole years that cricket normally does to anyone who's stayed the course for many, many, many years. Because the records, the stats, they are meant to be broken. Time doesn't stop for anyone, and history is meant to be rewritten. So how did fellow South African cricketers, some former and some current, react to this? What about the internet and everyone tuning in to then be shocked by this declaration? A lot of backlash clearly for that sudden declaration. So what is it then about this call? Did the skipper show grace and calm far beyond his age and what is seen in these times to be even believed to push harder for the win instead of a personal milestone? Or was he foolish to let go of a chance that legends have failed to get even close to, let alone scale? On one hand, there is the argument that is most popular, isn't it? You play to win, you play to break records, to set a new bar, a new benchmark every time you step onto the field. It's what you owe to yourself and to your ambition. Because look at the times we live in. A trophy name has been rebranded because no one wants to live in the past anymore. And the idea and concept of resonating with the present is that much more attractive. It's the more vocal option. To take a step back from not doing so, not fulfilling what is lying within your grasp, what you deserve, feels like you've cheated your fans, the audience. You've lost your chance and thrown away a chance at legacy. And then, of course, there is the other side of it all. You see this decision with an objective eye and you think this is what South Africa cricket and South Africa is all about. They want to win, but they want to do it in their own way, their own term. It's a way that feels right for them. It is, after all, a reflection of how they had to fight and endure a world of pain for generations to even get a chance to play the sport itself. So you think maybe this is where it all comes from. A sense of resilience so strong that it astounds you and shocks you as a viewer, a sports lover who watches sport for these big moments, a historic win or a record-breaking feat. Mulder just stumped everyone here. Where do you stand on this controversial call? Wimbledon isn't quite going the way the organisers hoped it would. The most prestigious tournament in tennis, the temple of tradition, is under fire. Critics are calling out its outdated customs and shaky use of technology. But all of that could change if Novak Djokovic goes on to lift the trophy. Because if he does, it'll be his first Grand Slam title since 2023 at the US Open and his first major win since the Paris Olympics last year. And right now, the signs do look promising. Djokovic is into the quarterfinals, just 3 wins away from tying Roger Federer's legendary 8 Wimbledon crowns. But here's what's even bigger. He's finally broken the Federer curse. Yes, Wimbledon's prodigal son, Roger Federer, was back in the royal box to watch Djokovic take on Alex De Minaur. And every time Federer has watched him from the stands, Djokovic has lost. So after the first set, it looked like the curse would live on. Djokovic was blown away 1-6. But what followed was classic Novak. He stormed back to win it in 4, a scoreline that now looks far more comfortable than it actually was. Curse broken, statement made.
It's probably the first time he's watching me, and I've won the match. In the last couple, I lost the match, so it's good to break the curse.
But it's not just the superstition he's shattered. His tennis has been electrifying. He's pulling off epic rallies, dive to make impossible passes to loud cheers. In fact, in the third round against Miomir Kekmanovic, Djokovic made a diving return that had even him stunned.
Yeah, I was pumped for that. Obviously, I'm not diving much on the courts. This kind of unique, rare moments are really something you cherish. It was kind of like an ecstasy, to be honest. I can't wait to see the highlight.
Off the court, he seems different too, more relaxed, not wired up like he's been, hunting for that elusive win. He's more playful, sharing a constant banter with someone like Sabalenka, crashing press conferences, joking with rivals during practice sessions, even showing off a new signature celebration inspired by his daughter. All of this doesn't indicate a man under pressure to win his 25th slam. A man who till recently seemed like he was on edge, parting ways with mentors and friends. And this is a player who just wants to enjoy the ride and not worry about the destination and where he has to head.
I've been playing some really good tennis this year, so I feel good about myself. I feel confident. I feel motivated to go all the way. I think I do have a chance. There's no doubt about it.
But make no mistake, this Wimbledon means something more. Yes, his movement shows he still has some years left. But with Alcaraz and Sinner taking over, the Big Three era is clearly winding down, and he knows it. In every slam this year, he's hinted that retirement may not be too far off. And Djokovic is already dreaming of life after tennis.
I don't pause to reflect, to be honest. I think that's going to come when I set the racket aside and sip margarita on the beach with Federer and Nadal and just reflect on our rivalry and everything.
All of this only points to how this Wimbledon could be a fairy tale finish for Djokovic. Yes, Sinner may wait for him in the semi-finals next. If he crosses that, there could be Alcaraz in the final hurdle. But with the curse broken, the joy back and the crowd finally warming up to him here, don't count Djokovic out of contention yet. He's hungry, he's smiling, and he's 3 wins away from history. And if he does it, it won't just be a Wimbledon win, it'll be legacy sealed on centre court. Indian football has just witnessed a rare moment of glory. Yes, that's not something we get to say all too often, not at least of late. Because let's be honest, the state of the sport in the country isn't exactly inspiring. But amidst all the chaos and systemic rot, India's women's football team has scripted history. They've qualified for the AFC Women's Asian Cup, and they did it with dominance, a feat the men's team is struggling to even come close to right now. So what's working for the women, and just how far can they go? Let's take a closer look.
Indian football continues to search for its footing. The men's team is slipping down the rankings, wins are few and far between, and the leadership from the top down lacks urgency, clarity and ambition. But maybe, just maybe, a revolution is brewing, led by the women's team. India has officially qualified for the AFC Women's Asian Cup 2026, and they didn't just qualify, they steamrolled their way in. Winning all their matches, some against higher ranked sides too. 24 goals scored and just 1 conceded. 4 wins, 4 matches, 12 days. Utter dominance. That's 3 wins more than what the men's team has managed in the last 16 months. It highlights a stark contrast between the two national teams. While the women dream of a World Cup qualification, the men's team is on the verge of crashing out of the AFC Asian Cup 2027 qualifiers. They now need to win all their remaining matches and hope other results go their way too. Now, to be fair, every team has its own challenges, but what's common to both? The All India Football Federation. Poor governance, mismanagement and a lack of accountability have haunted Indian football for years. Just recently, Manalo Marquez stepped down as the head coach, another blow to the men's side. The fans know this, and the frustration is real. The AIFF is feeling the heat. So when the women's team qualified, the federation quickly announced a $50,000 reward and even tried to take credit for the success. The players, not the planning, seem to be the real story here. Look at the men's team, still relying heavily on Sunil Chhetri, no succession plan, no striker development. It's cost them big time. In contrast, the women's side has found a genuine finisher in Pyari, who's already scored 5 goals. And it's not just her, it's a team brimming with energy. A young, hungry squad that's not carrying the burden of legacy, but writing its own. When the women head to Australia for the Asian Cup next year, they will be aiming for more than just participation. Because if they make it to the quarterfinals, they will be within reach of something historic, spot at the Women's World Cup. And if they can do this with limited backing and no proper system in place, imagine what's possible if the federation actually delivers on the planning it claims to have. Not just for one team, but for Indian football as a whole.
Time for last serve. New York is experiencing the Brazil vibe before Fluminense's Club World Cup semi-final against Chelsea. The supporters have crowded the city as their side eyes history. Now, sure, the sport is yet to grow on the Americans despite MLS, but the Brazilians are giving them reasons why. The vibe is unbelievable. But that wraps it up here on First Sports. I'll see you again tomorrow. Till then, take care. Bye-bye.